LaKeith Stanfield, you star in Judas and the Black Messiah as William ONeill, who was the real-life informant who infiltrated the Black Panthers, leading to the assassination of Fred Hampton. So first off, was this a story you were previously familiar with, or were you learning a lot through this process?
Both. I was previously familiar with it loosely. When I was younger, I'd done my own research about Fred Hampton because we weren't taught about him in school. And yeah, I learned a lot more during the research period.
And what did you think about him just as a character when you read the script and all the internal conflicts and contradictions about him?
Mm. I don't know. It wouldn't be until I landed on set that I really got a sense of traveling through that, in a real, in an intimate way. I mean, when you got the clothes and you got the set and you got everything there for you, you kind of are, you're, everything is put into context. But when I read the script, yeah, I thought it might be interesting to explore this and explore myself, some of these themes.
And less is known about ONeill than some of the other figures in the film, like Fred Hampton. Like he was less a well-known public figure. Was there a lot of trying to fill in the blanks of who he was and what his motivations were, to motivate you as an actor from scene to scene?
Yeah, I mean, most of the motivations were fear, just trying to stay out of trouble and trying to stay afloat. But yeah, there's some exploration there. There had to be, because otherwise you don't understand why or how someone could do some of the things he was into doing.
What was the collaboration like with writer director Shaka King to develop this character and this performance?
It was great. Shaka's good. He's ambitious and smart, and gives his artists the freedom to explore. Yeah, he kind of just trusted me, and I trusted him, and we moved forward.
Was there a lot of emotional prep work for the film? Because, as you say, this character is driven so much by fear. Was it a lot to kind of get yourself into that particular mind space for him?
Yeah, it's a challenge, but I took the movie on knowing that it would be a challenge, and I wanted to challenge myself, so that's precisely what I got.
And one of the places where William ONeill is featured is the documentary Eyes on the Prize, which is partly recreated in the film. Did you have a chance to see that, to kind of get to understand him better, and what did you kind of get from it, if you did?
Yeah, long form interview indicated to me in a lot of what wasn't spoken that he might have some regrets or might feel bad about what he did with his time during his time with the Panthers. Um, so yeah, it was clear to me that when he wasn't speaking, he was going through some type of internal dialogue. I wanted to try and tap into that and help bring that part of him to the screen. I thought that his sort of veneer of justification for what he had done, I found it quite boring. So I didn't want to play that. I wanted to play the more interesting in between what was said, what he was really feeling. Try to bring that to the surface, or at least what my interpretation of what he was feeling was.
And the character, his decisions and what he does to betray Fred Hampton is so kind of brutal. Like, what was the process of trying to find like the empathy for him, or was it easy to empathize with him given how he was kind of used and manipulated and pressured by the FBI?
I tried to. I know I tried to go in without judgment as much as possible, get over my own biases, so that way I could tap into the character in an honest way. Can't really connect to something if you don't see it as human, or I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I just try to find a way to humanize everything so it made sense to me. But I also wanted to create a balance, so where he was what he was doing is unlikable, and he was, in all intents and purposes, an unlikable character. But I think he still had love and he still had desires. So I wanted to incorporate that into the undesirable character, and not so that way he wasn't two-dimensional, if I could, you know. And I hope we got some kind of balance there.
And you know, another pivotal relationship for him is with his handler Roy Mitchell, played by Jesse Plemons, and it's, you know, sort of transactional relationship, but there's also, you know, this sort of pseudo paternal almost relationship, it seems like, between them. What do you think about the relationship between the two of them, and what that meant for ONeill?
Yeah, when I was packaging ONeill, I thought about the fact that he might not have had a father figure, and I wanted to incorporate that aspect into it, and we talked a lot about that, and it actually it did play across quite well, where it feels like there's this familial, you know, father-son type relationship in a way. And I mean, ONeill even says in a long-form interview, I believe, and I mean, it isn't verbatim, but says he had his role models were people that were in the FBI or people that were members of law enforcement. You know, everyone else had their own role models, but he really wanted to assume that position in life. If he could, he would probably be an FBI agent, really, not just a CI, but an actual FBI agent. So, so yeah, Mitchell represented everything he kind of wanted to be and wanted to have, which was the power and the respect and the freedom of whiteness. So he tried to situate himself next to that in order to gain that freedom.
And there's a particular moment between him and Mitchell that's one of the more heartbreaking scenes of the film, where Mitchell is basically giving him the ultimatum, like, you need to help us basically kill Fred Hampton, or we will basically feed you to, you know, the entire group, and let them kill you. And, you know, just the sense of aloneness that he must have felt in that moment. What was it? You know, what was it like to shoot that scene, to prepare for that scene, and understand him then?
It was intense. It was intense, and you had to keep the intensity up for many takes, and that gets a little exhausting. Um, it was a little intimidating. I got into a mind state where I convinced myself to be afraid of white people because I thought that might be better for the scene. And so since all the extras were white, when I walked in, I pretended almost as if they were demons or someone that was out to get me or something like that. And I better be careful. And that translates to anybody in the audience can be a member of the FBI, undercover, or anybody could kill me at any moment. I'm not safe. And I just wanted to kind of communicate that idea that, you know, me and Shaka talked about, you know, him really feeling that he had nowhere to turn and nowhere to go. And so this is my option, so I must take it.
And he also has this dual relationship, of course, with Fred, where he's genuinely becoming close to him and kind of understanding that this movement isn't, you know, the kind of insidious movement that the FBI is making it out to be, while also kind of working against him, like, at the same time. So it's this friendship, but you're always having to kind of balance two worlds in the character's mind. What was it like working with Daniel Kaluuya on that very complex dynamic?
Yeah, it's a complex dynamic. I think it's made smoother, the journey, when you're working with actors like Daniel, who engulf themselves into the role and embody it in a way that is very, very special. And it feels like I was a lot of times in the same room as Chairman Fred Hampton, as much as I can understand what that means. And so it made it easier to create the conflict within Bill, because I love Fred Hampton. I love Daniel, which is Fred Hampton. And so now I have to do and make decisions that go against and betray that love. and I have to ignore the fact that that love is there. So you'll catch me in moments where I'm just looking at him, and you can see that I respect and admire him, but that I have to continue to do what I have to do, and so I must ignore those feelings. And in the scenes where I have to poison him was, the hardest thing, because I'm looking at Daniel, the guy LaKeith Stanfield loves, and then I'm looking at Fred, the guy that ONeill loves, but I have to do this anyway. So it was really tough, and that's the hardest day on set, was having to do that. And the room in the house was exactly like anything I'd seen on photos, anything I'd seen in articles. It was exactly like it. So I was zapped into that spot, and at times, Dominique said something great, Dominique Fishback, about how the body doesn't differentiate fact from reality from fiction. So your body believes that you're really in these situations. So it just felt like I was zapped into that situation, and my whole body was tense. And it was hard to keep the tears from coming, but, down. So, yeah, it was intense.
And given the intensity of the role and trying to internalize what William was feeling, like, was it difficult to decompress after like a day of shooting or after the production wraps, to try to kind of take off sort of William ONeill from you and let that breathe?
I felt like no matter where I went, Bill was always with me. I kind of kept him on me. Like, I have this Jesus pendant. I wore this Jesus pendant, and I also wore a pendant that was in the shape of an ankh the whole time. This is white Jesus, by the way, which is why I wore him, because I felt like Bill wanted to be like white Jesus, and Fred was like black Jesus, in a sense. They both wanted to reach ultimate freedom, and they wanted to, which is to say, sacrifice. I don't know. I was just thinking about it in an interesting way. But everywhere I went, I had to have Bill with me, so that way I don't know, that I'm never really having to do much of a transition when I get on set. He's already there. He's like right in my back pocket, so I can just pull him out. So yeah, he was a little bit of everywhere. I would, oftentimes wear FBI regalia and hats and badges and, gun thingies, and, always keeping in mind that I am actually a law enforcement officer. So things would come across like that, maybe to people offset. I might speak with them with a little more authority, because in my mind, I'm thinking I'm the authority. That's what I'm, internalizing him. So that way, when we go on there, it's just like, that's Bill, And I told everyone to call me Bill, all that stuff. So, my body started to think that I was him. So there you go,
And the film is coming out in February, like a few months after just these continued Black Lives Matter protests. And I feel like the film does so much to contextualize sort of the history of like especially the relationship between law enforcement and the Black community, from Black Panthers to Black Lives Matter. What do you hope people who are watching this film now kind of take away from this story, or maybe to empower them in the current movement?
I hear this question a lot. What do I hope that people take away? I think really I don't have hopes about that. I think I think you watch it and you take away what you take away. You feel what you feel. That's your internal work. That's part of the dance. We do the whole thing, and then you feel what you feel. The only thing that I want is for more people to know about the story of Fred Hampton and know about the life he lived. I don't even care about the way he's killed and all that, other than people should be critiquing of their government and at least look at their government and speculate about whether, second guess about what you might have thought about your government, because look at what they're capable of doing. You might want to look at things a little bit more closely. I might throw that out there, but I don't, everybody's got their own journey, and you have to try and figure out how it affects you. The only concern I would have is if someone could watch a movie like this and feel nothing.
Well, I want to congratulate you on the film and your performance, and I do hope people see it. And I definitely don't think it's a film where you feel nothing. I certainly felt quite a lot. So thank you again. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate you watching it. Thanks.